This is the Surly Grognards for September 21st, 2015. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
I'm doing all right.
Most excellent, most excellent. So, we actually had a suggestion in the YouTube comments from, I believe it was Darth Elmo, who suggested that we should do another session, campaign setting brainstorming thing. Because he's really enjoyed the first two, found them very useful, and I thought, well, that's a brilliant episode to do on no prep.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to do another brainstorming episode because, honestly, they're fun, honestly.
They are fun. And, just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
So, Eric had asked me, so when I suggest this, Eric asked, okay, what genre do you want to do? My response was, well, if I remember correctly, Darth Elmo's suggestion was superheroes, and I was like, you know what? Supers.
Cool. Let's do supers.
Alrighty. So, we're going to sort of brainstorm up a supers campaign world, because, honestly, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
So, before we even start getting on this, things to preface, so I haven't actually designed a superhero world in a long time because I designed one a long while ago and I've been using it since. Because I'm very fond of it. I started working on the one I used for the Star City campaign. God, I want to say like
ago.
I started working on like the mid '90s. I want to say.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of years ago. When
No,
dinosaurs
late
fought
'90s,
Hitler.
late '90s. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, it's been a long time. And I really love the campaign world, but it means that I haven't really thought about like Super's campaign world design in a while. I've noodled a couple of ideas here and there on between, but about half the campaigns I've come up with that weren't sort of my typical campaigns, I sort of said, okay, now these are taking place in the Star City universe because I've already developed it and I don't need to develop anything new for it, and that'll work well. Wait a minute. I haven't designed a new Supers world in a while, so this is going to be interesting for me, is what I'm saying. Alright, so, the first question I have, and which we have to answer in some way, there are several big sort of meta questions we have to answer before we start working on much in detail on a Supers world. So, there are a couple of big questions we have to tackle. These are in no particular order. The first question is, and I think might be the first one we kind of have to answer, although not necessarily, is sort of what sort of subgenre feel do we want to go for? Are we going for something like, do we want to pick like a particular quote age of comic books that we want to base this on, like Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age? I forget what the current age is.
I don't think it has a name yet. I don't think it's going to have a name until you move past it.
Probably not, although, yeah, I mean, in modern age, I guess, maybe, but...
Yeah. Frankly, I'm inclined to go with the Reconstruction age.
It mostly is, although...
Well, that was more like 10 years ago, honestly.
Yeah, it's gotten into the stupid age recently, but,
Yeah, well, there's always a fair amount of stupid age in comics.
Yes, there is. Well, I mean, Sturgeon law applies as always. 90% of everything is crap, and I've yet to be proven. I've seen it yet to be seen it proven wrong.
Very true.
Theodore Sturgeon was, in many ways, a very smart man. A very good writer.
But yeah, let's actually do that sort of Reconstruction age.
Yeah.
That way we can have all our silliness, but still be fairly serious and actually pay attention to some real world consequences.
Sure, I mean that's a perfectly valid. I mean, it's honestly one of the things I'm somewhat a fan of. I mean, my personal favorite comic book, period, at this point, my sort of thing is in terms of superheroes is Astro City, and that's sort of where that is sort of firmly located.
Yeah, for me, Hellboy's always sort of there for me. Like,
yeah,
yay, Hellboy.
Hellboy's great.
But it's very much a paranormal pulp story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hellboy is. I mean, this is the thing. Is there's comic books. You can't say a comic book campaign because that's such a wide genre. It's not even a genre. It's a medium.
It's a medium, yeah.
Because
It's like
I mean,
saying an anime campaign,
yeah, exactly.
or
Well, I mean, although an anime campaign,
a '70s
is,
film campaign.
an anime campaign at least has there's some sort of general tropes that you have in that are more prevalent than what a comic book campaign would be.
I suppose so. For example, everyone has big eyes and little mouths, and there might be mecha, and everyone's in high school.
The sad thing is that not all of that's true. Because I've seen several anime where nobody's in high school.
Yes, where nobody's in high school. I'm more making fun of the oft-used tropes, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Don't be ridiculous. There are plenty of anime where nobody's in high school. Dude, they're not old enough to be in high school yet.
My first thought was Black Lagoon for nobody in high school.
Oh, that's the other direction. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one, yeah, Black Lagoon is a great thought for the other direction. I believe Azumanga Daioh is technically pre-high school, if I remember correctly.
I think that's actually high school.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure that's high school. Because you got the one like little kid who like skipped middle school, like that's our whole shtick.
I think you might be right. It's been a long time since I watched any of Azumanga Daioh, which is a disturbingly good slice of life show.
Yeah,
like
given how much I generally hate slice of life, that's pretty good.
Yeah, same. It's like I don't like slice of life shows, but Azumanga Daioh is amazing and adorable.
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Ugh.
Anyway, back on the subject.
Back on the subject.
Superheroes. We're doing the whole
all right,
Reconstruction
so
Age from like 10
Reconstruction
years ago.
Age makes the most sense. All right, so here's the other important question that we have to decide on.
Okay.
Source of powers.
Yes.
Because when you come down to it, there are a couple of different ways you can handle this.
Yes. If you could think of a stupid source for your powers, you get to use it.
That's one possibility. That's the one I sort of generally go with. But there's a lot of things you can do mining the concept that there is like a very limited power source. Even if people don't think that's what it is. For instance, like the Wildcards universe that George R. R. Martin worked on.
Right.
It looks like there's like tons of different sources. Like while the main source of power is the Wildcards virus, it's like, okay, well, this guy's got super strength, and this guy can do this, and this guy can do that, and this guy's mutated. And it's like, okay, yeah, except, like this woman is mutated, has wings, so she can fly. And these guys are magicians and such. It turns out, if you actually look very carefully at all of it, everything is psionic powers. Everything. Like, Peregrine, like, she's got hollow bones and wings, and is very strong. But she still shouldn't be able to fly.
Right.
So the only reason she can fly is because she's got very limited telekinesis. Golden Boy, who's basically the strongest and toughest superhero in the Wildcards universe. He's super strong, nearly invulnerable, etc. It's all basically tactile telekinesis.
Gotcha.
There are plenty of people, like most of the magicians are just using various forms of psychic powers. And it's all rooted down to it's all rooted down to psychic powers. Like there's, although some of them are particularly weird, like the guy who can, I forget the guy's name. He's a genius inventor, but he's basically the only one who can use any of the devices he makes. And anyone who looks at them has no fucking idea how they work.
Reed Richards syndrome.
Yeah, except more space orky.
I am in love with this guy.
Well, he sort of dies off. The big thing is he dies pretty early, if I remember correctly.
Right.
His big crowning achievement is Modular Man, who's an android, who can swap. He basically can swap body parts around for different weapons and such. And he's incredibly powerful. Great. He's a wonderful, nice guy. AI android. The problem is nobody can fix him.
Right.
Because nobody understands how he works at all. As far as anyone can tell, he shouldn't work.
Right.
But he does. The problem is his creator is dead.
Gotcha. And he can't fix himself.
No, he can't, because he doesn't understand how he works. As far as he can tell, he's impossible.
It's kind of like Atomic Robo, except Atomic Robo can fix himself.
Yes.
And is also an action scientist.
Yes. Modular Man is not a scientist. Actually, yes. No, Wildcards has a lot of really cool stuff in it, but it's mostly it's a serialized novel series mostly. So,
Right.
but so that's one thing. Like everything being psionics is one fairly classic trope. Everything being magic is another technical sort of
I kind of like that one, except we can make it all sciencey sounding by calling it subconscious entropic manipulation.
Sure, and the other classic one is everything's basically everyone who has superpowers is a mutant. Is the other
Right.
classic one.
Or an
Technically,
alien, or an extra-dimensional being.
right? Yeah, everyone is as alien at least partially alien in some way.
Yeah.
Everyone's been genetically modified by everyone with superpowers has been genetically modified by aliens. That's another classic one.
Yeah. Oh, what was the name of that comic? I don't even remember most of it. Like you had one. The Superman analog was called like the Flag, and
Oh God.
yeah, and he like realizes that he's just a propaganda shill, so he decides to just steal all the nuclear weapons and hide them, and ends up getting radiation poisoning as a result.
I don't remember which one that is. I know which one you're talking about. Fuck.
There is one with like some sort of like crazy like nanoscopic manipulation powers, and she decides she's going to blow up Jerusalem to shut up the Middle East.
Oh no, I know what that one is. I know what that one is. I remember it now. It's Rising Stars.
That's it. Yes.
It was written by J.
And then someone convinces her, "Why don't you just make it fertile so everyone stops shooting each other because they all have enough resources?" Like, oh, yeah, I could just do that, couldn't I?
That was written by JMS. John Michael Straczynski.
Yes.
That was specifically was a
Alien manipulation, if I remember.
alien
correctly.
manipulation. It was, and the other interesting thing is that power got consolidated. The fewer of them that were still alive.
Yes, as they died. There's the one preacher's son with like crazy light manipulation who ended up being transgender.
Yeah, it was a fascinating.
That was actually a really cool character too.
The comic book was really interesting. It didn't
Yeah.
end particularly well, and the art was only mediocre.
Yeah, the art was only mediocre.
The writing was very good because
Because it's fucking JMS.
who can fucking write, even if he does occasionally write things that are kind of silly. Looking at a good chunk of his Spider-Man run, which was really well written and had a lot of cool stuff, but the Spider-Verse stuff was kind of dumb.
I don't think I've read any of that.
It started getting weird and magical and mystical. It was really, really silly.
Okay.
But that all ended with One More Day, so, nah.
Yeah, fucking one more day. Anyway,
But, yeah.
subject at hand.
But, yeah, Rising Stars...
Really scatterbrained tonight.
Well, we're doing a brainstorming thing, so
Yeah.
we're going to have to... We sort of have to be intentionally.
Yeah. One thing I desperately want in this universe is a Hollow Earth, because I love that idea.
All right, sure, done. All right.
Hollow Earth, we've got like Saurians and like Atlanteans and all
All right,
sorts
then
of
the
shit now.
magic being the source of power is perfect for that.
Yes.
All right, so that is where our first sort of big big sort of decision point is. We got it's classic, like the Earth actually we've got the whole hollow Earth with the subterranean species. Atlantis was a thing. Magic is actually real.
Which explains how you can have gadgeteers that haven't like completely like catapulted the tech level way past what it is now.
Exactly.
Because it's just technomancy.
Well, that's what it turns out to be.
Yes.
They don't understand why no one else can reproduce their
results.
Their
Right.
results. It's like they're saying, but watch, I do this, it works. And everybody goes, yes, it does. When I do it, it doesn't. The fuck?
I mean, you can't replicate my experiment. It's very simple. Here, you just do this, and it works for them. But I can't do it because I do the exact same thing using your equipment in your lab at the same time of day, and nothing happens.
And everyone is very confused. Everyone is very, very confused. That's why some stuff, like, if it's particularly beyond, and that's because it's technomancy, and it basically, if it goes beyond the sort of generally too far beyond generally accepted understanding of science and technology and physics, you can do it because you're a technomancer, but no one else can replicate it. If it's within a certain boundary, it can theoretically be done by other people because it
Right.
is something that they are capable of understanding, is therefore part of the collective zeitgeist understanding of technology, which means they're able to use the because all technology is effectively
Which is
magic.
why the police have specifically a anti-super squad, which are guys in really bulky powered armor. Like, they don't have, like, Iron Man type armor, but they've got, like, much bulkier and less mobile stuff.
Okay.
Just pure, whose only job is to take it on the chin and disable the angry super.
Right. But that's the thing.
It's like calling in, call it Meta SWAT.
There we go. Great. Done. I like it. But yeah, like it's like it's like because all technology is effectively magic.
Right.
So like it can be manipulated by so like everyone is capable of doing something within the collective zeitgeist understanding of the way the world works.
Yes.
And when that changes, that enables people to do things differently.
That's
like this.
actually a great. It's very Mage the Ascension.
It is, isn't it? It's taking a concept from Age of Ascension and putting it into something that isn't
That
tied
doesn't
to what,
fall apart as soon as you look at it cross-eyed.
yeah. Well, it's put into a comic book world, which makes it a lot more
Which
acceptable.
makes it a lot more palatable, honestly.
Yeah, I love Age of Ascension. I think it's a cool idea, but it's saddled with a lot of White Wolfisms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, there's a bunch of White Wolf. Like honestly, random aside, Aberrant is almost a good idea. Almost. Aberrant was White Wolf's supers game.
Oh, yes!
It's got one gigantic flaw, which is it is written by people who have such a deep and abiding loathing for four-color comics.
Yes.
Like, no, and I don't mean like...
I remember... Here's the thing. I remember Aeon, which is set after Aberrant goes haywire.
Yes.
And everyone's got psychic powers. And that was actually a pretty interesting world.
That's their sci-fi setting, which is, again...
Yeah.
Well, White Wolf is actually pretty good at world building for the most part. They're not really much good at much of anything else.
They're not as good at world building as FASA, but they're better at rules than FASA.
I don't know about that.
Dude, the first iteration of any FASA game was completely
Have you
unplayable.
looked at the first iteration of any of White Wolf stuff? It's as bad. The first edition Mage is unplayable. There aren't rules there.
Okay. I will admit the first edition of Changeling was just mind-bogglingly overly complex, with you needing to do things like play cards and, like, you can only use your powers if you drank oolong tea with a dragon on a Thursday. Like, what?
Mage had like rules. It had like, okay, here's how magic works. You have dots in it that you can create effects of this many dots worth, and we're done.
But yeah, I need to define exactly
How much more
each dot
powerful?
goes.
How much more powerful is 3 dots in Arate than 2 dots in Arate? It's more powerful. You can create a 3 dot effects with it. That's not helpful.
That doesn't help, guys. And what about, like, using some Prime and some Arate and Entropy? Does that mean I get to, like, throw, like, black lightning bolts that wither your skin? Sure. How many dots do I need in that? Ask your game master. That doesn't help.
White Wolf almost never actually wrote rules in their first editions of any of their games. They're as bad as FASA on that, and I can see the argument they're not as bad as FASA because
They're not as bad as FASA because FASA, they're not as convoluted and they're not as contradictory.
For the most part, yeah. I will say this: first edition MechWarrior was merely bad. It wasn't contradictory or overly complicated. It was just overly simple, and it was mostly just an excuse to make characters so you can play BattleTech.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a good role-playing game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's functional.
Unlike first edition friggin' Shadowrun, which was like...
We're not going to go into that.
I can't even...
No,
I can't
no.
wrap my head around what they're trying.
Oh, it was bad. First edition, that was bad.
Like 10,000 different dice pools that you could spread around, and there's a dodge pool, and like a karma pool, and
yeah, and they did
edge pool.
It took them a long time to walk back from the edge of madness on that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we got a world. Magic works,
Yes.
and like overt like mages are only starting to come back into the scene because people are starting to understand the concept of magical energy in some way. So the zeitgeist began to accept that that's a possibility.
Mm.
So like there are people who are using like magic behind the scenes subtly for a long time because that didn't intrude into the zeitgeist. I'm
Totally stealing from White Wolf again.
absolutely because I absolutely dig that. And it's not because Paradox will kick them in the ass. It's simply because it just doesn't like overt effects are less effective because
it's not an efficient use of power.
That's it. Yeah, that's actually the best way to do it. It's not so much that you can't do overt effects. It's that it
requires way too much investment of energy for the effect.
Going against the zeitgeist is just tiring, and it wears you out, and it uses up too much mana. I like that. And so when people started being bored with the ability to naturally manipulate stuff, like just the sheer existence of like comic books began to put into the zeitgeist the concept of superheroes. I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Which made all of this also made it possible for the Hollow Earthers, the Subterrans, to finally come back to the surface, because magic works fine in their area, in the Hollow Earth.
Right.
It did but magic just they couldn't do things on the surface anymore. So this turns them into an emerging possible threat. I like this.
Let's work some like Lovecraftian craziness in there, with a resurgence of doomsday cults devoted to unnamed entities.
Sure, that's a classic. We can throw that in there. That's great.
Yeah. Because everyone loves having to beat up crazy cultists trying to summon Shabba-Dabba Doobda, the Great Devourer.
Absolutely.
That also means you get to beat up Gozer.
Indeed. That's great. We got that. That's a great little angle to throw in there. All right. Also, this all explains Hitler's obsession with the occult.
Yes. In fact, I have decided that Hitler died in 1978 when his robot body was finally destroyed. All
right, done. Is like he did the whole thing where he committed suicide with Eva Braun. He was saved by Nazis by Nazi super scientists who basically were able to build him a gigantic robot body.
Oh, and he and the superpowered clone of Stalin destroyed each other in Antarctica.
That's awesome. Great background detail. No, not actually important, but the two of them threw down in Antarctica. No, it's not robot power. It's not. Stalin was not robot powered.
No. He was superpowered.
Superpowered.
He was actually an Ubermensch.
Wow, that would piss Hitler off.
Exactly. Oh, that's so hilarious. I love it.
This is all madness. So, okay, with that, I think we can safely say that the Soviet Union at this point would have had a tradition of integrating people with abilities once they start showing up into the
party,
military.
And the government, yes.
Into the military and into the government.
But only after they've had limiters placed on their brains. Because Stalin was a paranoid lunatic afraid of losing his own power.
Well, yes, of course.
So with the death of Stalin, you suddenly had which is actually what caused the slow collapse of the Soviet Union, because suddenly the limiters all went up, and all the supers start vying for control, occasionally throwing down the middle of Red Square. The Soviet Union just goes to shit in a handbasket, but it doesn't actually collapse till late 80s, early 90s. When did
It was late 80s.
Yeah. Until that actually happens.
It was late 80s, early 90s, specifically,
yeah.
Yes. All right, so we got that going there. I'm guessing...
When Mirror Universe Trotsky shows up. I'm sorry, I'm having way too much fun with this.
All right, but I do think sort of, I like the idea of the Subterrans being a significant ongoing threat.
Yeah. With occasional alliances being made between various factions. So you're going to have Bullmen and Saurians and
absolutely. You got
all that crazy.
They're
shit.
not unified.
Not at all. Not any more so than the surfaces.
Exactly. And I think that there probably should be like a shadowy cabal of the last remaining Atlanteans.
Yes.
Who are all immortal.
Yes.
and have been basically slowly trying to guide the. And they're ancient enemies with the Subterrans, and the reason Atlantis sunk was because of the Subterrans.
Yes, that's good.
And so they've been guiding the surface world to the point where they think they can actually. They know that magic will come back enough that the Subterrans will be able to return to the surface. Ooh, no. So the Subterrans sunk Atlantis. The Atlanteans sunk it themselves to shut down magic on the surface.
Yes, to shove the Subterrans back down there.
I like that.
But an unforeseen consequence of bringing magic back, of the Atlanteans bringing magic back, is the return of the Fae.
Oh, good one. Good one. But but the Atlanteans have been slowly guiding humanity forward in weird and sort of understandable ways to the point where when the Subterrans return, because magic will eventually come back on its own. It's just one of those things that happens.
Right.
It goes in cycles.
Like Earthdawn style.
Well, it's not just Earthdawn. It's been brought up a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's been brought up a bunch of times.
I mean, hell, just look at Niven's done that. Niven covered that.
Yes.
And the magic goes away. And, what use is a glass dagger? Which is one of my favorite short stories he wrote.
I don't think I read that one.
Oh, God, you haven't read that one?
No.
All right, so it's the same wizard who showed up in The Magic Goes Away.
Okay.
So basically, magic, it turns out, is a finite resource. And so he's dealing with, I forget the exact, but so basically he's talking with this woman, somebody, and he basically makes a glass dagger. And someone asks him, what use is a glass dagger? And he says, you'll understand later. He's going for to confront somebody. And basically he gets into confrontation, magic gets, they use up a bunch of magic in the area. And like the other guy's basically coming in to kill. He's fighting somebody who's like basically a warrior, effectively, a skilled combatant, someone who's had some. No, it's not a skilled warrior. He's fighting another mage, but who's much younger than he is. If I remember correctly. And the guy comes up to him, and the main character had gotten to the battlefield ahead of time, and so he's been knocks down, and the guy comes in close to him. And he explains to the guy, it's like, well, you asked me earlier about what use is a glass dagger, or something like that. I forget if he mentions them. As he pulls his hand up out of the pool of water next to him. And stabs him. The guy's like, there's not enough magic here for an invisible dagger. What the...
oh, yeah.
The dagger was completely invisible in the water.
Right. It's
a wonderful little short story. But yeah, and the big thing is that so there's a series of stories about magic basically being a non-renewable resource, basically.
Right.
But he also wrote a story later called "The Magic Came Back," because it goes in cycles, which I thought was interesting. He's not. I don't think he was the first to do it either, but he's the first one I know of. But yes. So we've got Atlantis, basically a conspiracy of the last remaining Atlanteans, operating from behind the scenes, trying to manipulate humanity into doing various things so they have a chance against the Subterrans once they come back.
Right.
Because they knew that their destroying Atlantis was not a permanent solution. All right, I like that. And the unintended consequence of where things are going right now is the Fae have returned.
Which is throwing everything up, throwing all their plans.
Which is throwing everybody's plans. It's like the Subterrans are like, aha, we're back in. Wait, what the fuck?
Fucking red caps.
I thought the dimensional barriers were fixed. God damn it. Oh, and that's what's enabling the Doomsday Cult to start up again. Is the dimensional barriers have weakened.
Yes, that's what's allowing the Doomsday Cults and the Fae come back. Yes,
I like that.
Yeah, because
something's caused the dimensional barriers to weaken.
Yeah, and nobody knows why, except for maybe someone, but they're not talking.
Right, there's probably somebody.
Because that's an adventure hook for you.
Exactly. All right, they're not like broken; they're just weakening.
Yeah.
Which is why it's the Fae who are fairly close can come through. They can come through the veil
but that's why the Doomsday Cults are working so hard, because those entities can't cross without a lot of help.
Right, because they're so completely antithetical to the zeitgeist.
Yes.
By the way, I love the word zeitgeist. I don't know why.
It's a good word.
Yes, it is.
Germans have some really good words.
Oh, zeitgeist is one of the best. Zeitgeist and Schadenfreude are two of my favorite words in existence. Yeah. All right, so we got that. And so magic is a sort. Okay, we got that. So these are the sort of main sort of we now know a bunch of things. Honestly,
Yes.
we now have sort of major ongoing antagonists, several possibilities.
Yep.
The Doomsday Cults. We've got the Subterrans, the
We had
natural
the
sort of
Atlanteans.
the what?
We had the Atlanteans and we had the Fae.
Right. The Atlanteans aren't really the Atlanteans and Fae aren't necessarily like
Right. There's no reason why you couldn't play as one of these guys.
right, because the Fae are merely like they're annoying. It's like no one
Right.
fully understands what their motives are, including probably a lot of the Fae. Like
Well,
most
I
Fae,
felt like turning everyone to bunnies today.
like there are Fae who are sympathetic to the mortals
Right.
because it's like, well, there's nothing. Why? I mean, why would we? Yeah, we live longer than they do, but there are people who are native to this. The Atlanteans are immortal too,
Right.
and they're human.
Suddenly, I want to play Ankulon, banished Saurian prince.
There we go. Of course, there's some not bad guys Subterrans. We touched on that. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah. It just totally play him up like Namor, but a dinosaur from underground.
Right. Except maybe a little bit less dickish than Namor.
Yeah, maybe not as much of a dick as Namor.
Because Namor's an
a
asshole.
giant cockbag.
Namor is one of the biggest cockbags in Marvel. He's not actually a villain all the time, though he is sometimes.
Well, he seems to get along fairly well with Doctor Strange and the Hulk.
Yes.
Better than he does with anyone else. Which is not to say good.
Yeah, well, that's partially because he knows he can't take them.
That's also true.
Namor's the least powerful member of the Defenders, Eric.
I sometimes forget that. He gives Silver Surfer shit all the time, though. He doesn't seem to care about that.
Well, yeah, that's because Surfer's really easy to give shit to, though.
That's true.
I mean, seriously. I mean, you look at it, it's like, okay, you've got Doctor Strange, the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, and Namor. Namor is your weak link. This is not a problem. Namor, let's see. He can fly, is super strong, super tough, is really smart, is a prince or a king. He's a ruling monarch.
He's got like some sort of crazy like aqua manipulation powers from her. Like also,
and he's got an entire kingdom, technologically advanced kingdom behind him.
Yeah,
and he's the least powerful member of your group because you have the Hulk. You've got the motherfucking Hulk.
Yeah.
You've got the Silver Surfer, who wields the power cosmic. And you have the fucking Sorcerer Supreme!
I forget where it was, but there's this great bit where Hulk tries to pick up Mjolnir and just getting more and more frustrated, more and more angry, till eventually he does. Except it turns out he doesn't actually pick up Mjolnir. It stays there. He just pushes the Earth down.
Yeah. That's one of these sillier things I've read. It's funny, but it's...
I like it a lot, honestly.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make sense within the context of Marvel. A lot of the way Marvel works. So I get it. It's just like it's hilarious. It's a great thing,
Yes.
but it shouldn't really be part of continuity for logical reasons, I think.
No, I think it's just silly enough to be part of Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel needs more silly, honestly. It doesn't have enough. Not the way DC does.
I'll take current Marvel over current DC.
Yeah, well, that's because DC keeps on shooting itself in the neck.
And proceeds to shove its head up its own ass.
Oh God, I'm bleeding for this bullet wound in my neck. What should I do? I'll put it up my ass.
Oh my God. Why DC? Why? Why do they cause me pain? Why do they cause me pain, Eric?
They were doing so well for a while there. They really were.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I haven't really read a lot of mainstream comics for a fairly lengthy period of time. Because,
It's like, after Identity Crisis, before the New 52, they're actually doing all right.
there's some really good stuff in there from what I understand. I've not been reading much of it because...
They had their shit together. They were doing all right. And they're like, let's blow up all this shit we're working on. Well, put it out with a bang with Flashpoint, which is supposed to be really good. I haven't read it, though. And then, let's make Superman a dick again. But we like Superman being a good guy. Nah, he's a dick. Also, he doesn't wear his underpants on the outside anymore. But why? Because shut up.
Well, at least he was wearing a costume during that period, as opposed to the t-shirt and jeans he's wearing now, I think.
do that Superboy's thing.
Yes, that was Superboy and the Teen Titans thing. I know. I don't know if he's still doing that. There was a couple panels I saw of that like recently.
Yeah.
I'm like, what really? But it wasn't like a black T-shirt. It was like a blue. It was like the same color scheme that he wears.
Yeah.
It was a blue shirt with like the logo with like a red S on the chest, and I'm like, dude, no. Put some fucking effort into your costume, Superman. Come on.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the paragon of. It's supposed to be what everyone aspires to be.
Yeah, but at any rate, so
Anyway,
that speaking of which, actually, we've got sort of the main world background stuff. Given our sort of predilections and our knowledge of world stuff, and we're setting stuff during the modern era, we said we'd probably have to center things in the United States.
yeah, it seems like a smart idea.
For us, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, because it's us.
It's us. We're from the States. While we do know some stuff about other countries, we probably don't know enough to run an effective campaign there. Maybe
We're Americans.
UK,
We'll put it in America. Shut up.
we might be able to do the UK, or maybe we might be able to do the UK, maybe, but it would require a little bit, or at least some research.
And we're not going to do that today.
No, fuck no. So the States. So the next thing I think we have to think about, especially given the sort of subgenre of the era we're talking about doing, the important thing is we have to think about is what is the U.S. government's reaction to people with powers. And that's one of those interesting questions. Like, okay, what is the legal
Incompetent
status?
and contradictory.
Probably, yes. But what is the legal status? I mean, do we go with the whole registration thing?
I'm gonna say,
or do you know, like, are there whack jobs who are arguing that superpowers should fall under the right to bear arms in the First Amendment?
oh, absolutely. There are definitely gonna be whack jobs like that.
Which just occurred to me as someone who probably should be saying this in some superhero universe. Like, I'm shocked there's nobody in any of the Marvel stuff saying that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, with the whole thing that I had on during Civil War, I'm shocked there was nobody who started pulling First Amendment stuff on that.
But let's say that a bill is passed to put together a bureau for exactly these, to figure out these purposes, this stuff exactly.
Yep.
But it keeps on getting defunded and scuttled by petty politics.
Well, that's a given.
So while you have a skeleton of a bureau there, it doesn't really have much in the way of power.
Right. They don't have much power, but they're there, and they've been trying to pass. They've probably been trying to pass some sort of. See, this is one of the things one of the things I'm most proud about for the Star City universe is the way I handled the registration thing.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was actually really clever.
Yes. No, I like that, but I don't think we should just.
No, we should not. We should do something different. Absolutely. No, I think there isn't a current registration law on the books.
Right, because it keeps on getting scuttled.
Because it can't make it through committee.
Yeah.
For exactly the reason
or someone throws some like completely like unrelated poison pill in there that no one but like 3 guys can vote for.
Right. It just can't get through committee in Congress. Like there's been a bunch like it keeps being brought up, it keeps coming up for votes, it never gets out of committee because Congress is useless.
This shows you our understanding of the current politics.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Eric. None whatsoever. Also means we don't have to talk about that. It means that we don't have to focus on it as part of the campaign. This is why I had the whole registration thing having been dealt with in the past in my campaign world.
Right.
It's been done and dealt with. It's part of the fabric, the cultural fabric. Everyone has accepted it and moved on.
I do think that there should be a political movement based around fear-mongering about supers, though.
Absolutely. That's a given.
Because Lindsey Graham, honestly.
What? No.
Sorry to any Lindsey Graham supporters out there, but I really find him repugnant.
It could be worse. But we're not going to get into politics.
We're not going to get into politics. But yeah, there's going to be a movement like revolving around like fear-mongering, and they're coming to get your kids, blah, 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 and what are we going to do about them? But it keeps on getting shot down from all sides, honestly, because the First Amendment kooks,
it's not just First Amendment.
far left lunatics, like everyone keeps on shooting it down.
Like the whole registration thing. Basically, nobody on either side really wants it to go through but for very different ideological reasons.
Yes.
Like they both acknowledge, but everyone acknowledges, yeah, something
It's
probably
something that should happen, but no one wants to pull the trigger.
There's something that
Because it would be political suicide with their...
We need to do something because there's a lot of like superpowered violence out there, and like but it's like we can't just like say, well, we can't we have to like regiment and restrict them because that's it's very anti-American. B, we don't want to drive them away from the states because there are a bunch who actually have been very helpful and useful and like serve in our military and
And the last thing you want to do is for them to end up in some like with some rival power or forming their own state.
Right. Because you don't want to piss off Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want to do.
Actually, that's an idea. Let's there is actually a small superhero based state that they'll say that just overthrew an island government somewhere.
Absolutely. That's dead, yes.
And it's actually kind of a, despite having a seat on the in the UN, they're sort of like Russia at their worst. They tend to vote down everything, and they're ruled by a lunatic despot, who is totally not a Doctor Doom analog.
Right, absolutely.
Doctor Doom / Magneto analog.
Hang on 1 second. All right. I have a thought for where they could be.
Okay.
They could have taken over the Federated States of Micronesia.
There you go.
which is a sovereign island nation, United States Associated State. It's Yap, Chuk, Pohnpei, and Kosrae. They're in the sort of Western Pacific Ocean. They comprise around 607 islands.
Oh, I've heard about these guys. These guys are really pushing hard on climate change stuff because they're like, no, our islands are drowning now. Do something.
Yes. Also, I love the name Micronesia.
Yes.
I fell in love with the United I fell in love with the Federated States of Micronesia ever since the West Wing. They're brought up during the in the West Wing. Basically, Bartlett has to pull a political shelf to move people around so that he can get
something done.
So he can get people to basically he needs to move somebody into a position he wants them in, but he has to basically move two people down the chain somewhere else.
Right. Okay, so we have our supervillain nation.
Yep, and sadly for the Federated States of Micronesia.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. We've inflicted our Doctor Doom analog on you.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. He's totally not Lord Recluse, not at all.
So we got that. All right. So is the question okay? So we're having the Soviet Union fall apart. Done.
Yes.
Most of that makes that area of the world more interesting from a story. Like, I mean, since we don't need them as a big bogeyman.
Right.
I mean, it means that we've got a bunch of sort of internal strife in there that can be a source for stories if we need to.
Yes.
All right. So in that case, so we need to have somebody who's every world needs sort of your classic big hero for
right.
Big local hero for the States. You've got Superman. You got a bunch of things like our Superman analog.
Yeah, Superman, Captain America, Miss Marvel, that kind of deal.
Yep.
Yeah, so we need something like that, and I'm as tempted as I am to give him some ridiculous name like the Minuteman or like Super Patriot or something.
No. The Minuteman is very clearly a Golden Age hero. He's one of the first heroes.
Okay, fair enough.
And damn it, he was based out of Boston because we're from Boston.
Yes, absolutely.
And it makes sense. Name-wise. All right, so let's see. But yeah, we got to have something. Let's see, a good name for a sort of a Superman analog.
Captain Capitalism.
No. No.
No.
I mean, there are a bunch of different ways we can go. I mean,
I'm tempted to go with Primarch, but that sounds so pseudo-fascist.
Yeah, no. He really should be somewhere a bit more.
Oh, our Doctor Doom analog is the Primarch.
There we go. I like it. There we go. I like that. I like it. So he's the Primarch. Great. That's actually really good. That's a really good name for him, honestly.
Yeah. Especially if he's doing the whole like Magneto come to
Micronesia.
Come to Micronesia, where we have all the superhero goodness.
Where anyone with powers is free to use their powers as they choose.
Daedalus, that's his name.
Daedalus, that's good. Ooh, he's a tech hero.
Yeah.
He's got to be a tech hero.
He's got to be a tech hero. In fact,
and you're ready for this? Here's the twist. He's actually Daedalus.
Ooh, yes.
He's an Atlantean. He's one of the Atlanteans.
He's one of the Atlanteans, yeah.
Who's decided that he's tired of operating from behind the scenes. He's formed too much of an emotional attachment to humanity.
Yes, and he actually has the old clockwork wings, except he's replaced the feathers with light.
There we go. Yes. And this is,
so you've got like this big like clockwork like framework that spreads out like wings, but the feathers are all just sort of like
their energy,
focused light. Yeah.
I like this. All right, so yeah, he's our sort of super equivalent. His technology is basically beyond virtually everybody's.
Yes.
Because he's an Atlantean, of course he is. And it turns out he's actually immortal.
Yes.
And he's probably done something similar to this before, under different names.
Yeah, there was like a 7 to 10 year period where everyone thought Primarch had killed him, including Primarch, but then he reappeared.
I'm not just talking about that. I'm like a century ago, he was a couple centuries ago, he operated as a saint almost.
No, yes, but what I'm talking about is like,
oh yeah,
maybe like 10 years ago, there was a 7-year period where where everyone saw him die. They saw Primarch kill him in a fight.
Right.
And now he's back because he's actively immortal.
You can't permanently. Yeah, you can't. Well, it's possible that it is possible to kill him. It's just that Primarch has no idea how to.
Right.
Because he doesn't know that he's Atlantean.
Yeah. Although I imagine Primarch now suspects
something's up. He's like,
yeah.
Well, Primarch probably doesn't know the Atlanteans are actually. He suspects that they're there.
Oh no, Primarch does know, but he's actively working as a foil to free mankind from their shadowy yoke.
Right. Of course, that's his motivation.
Yes.
Because he thinks he's the good guy.
Because all good villains think they're the good guy.
All good, not all good, but a lot of good villains do.
Yes.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so Primarch honestly believes he's doing the right thing.
Yes.
Is that humanity? So, and he's basically he's basically taken over Micronesia, create a state that can oppose what the Atlanteans are doing to thwart their plans.
Yes.
Because he's convinced that their plans are nefarious.
Which is why he's such a dick in the UN.
Right. He wants to take over the world specifically so he can dismantle the organizations that the Atlanteans have built.
Yes.
And he doesn't the thing is, he completely doesn't realize exactly how they're setting things up to deal with exactly how big a threat the Subterrans actually are.
Right.
He's seen them show up. He knows that they're a threat, but he doesn't think they're as big a threat as they potentially are.
Although he does have to deal with their kaiju.
Well, of course.
Because, of course, there are kaiju coming out of the Pacific.
Well, of course there are. Most of them go to Japan, though.
Yeah. Well, clearly. Actually, that could be a thing. Like, Japan loves the new Micronesia, which is what I've just decided we're calling it. Because they keep on fending off the Subterran kaiju.
Yes! So they're like they're one of the few countries that actually has like a remotely decent relationship with them.
Yes.
And that's an interesting idea, Duani. But I don't think he was Tesla. I think Tesla was one of his students. Daedalus.
Ooh. Even better. Daedalus was Edison and actively worked to thwart Tesla because Tesla was so far beyond the zeitgeist, but somehow made it all work for other people.
Maybe.
Because Tesla was actually one of the first, super inventors. Like, the death rate actually worked, so he had to make it not.
There's too much Edison dickery for that to work.
Yeah, I guess so.
Edison was too much of a dick.
He really was kind of a dick. There's a decent amount of circumstantial evidence that he had several people killed so he could steal their patents.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing with the direct current, and the electrocuting the elephant thing, and
Yeah. Edison was a... Yeah.
There's a decent amount of evidence that Edison was probably sociopathic a little bit.
A little bit.
Possibly a lot. We don't know, though. But he was definitely a very smart man. There's no question.
He's definitely a very, very smart man, and is currently a ghost haunting Tesla-Dyne Industries.
Oh, Atomic Robo, how I do love thee. Sadly, we can't use Dr. Dinosaur because Brian Clevenger came up with him first.
Yes.
Because Dr. Dinosaur is one of the best things ever.
Tyrannosaurus does not even sound like that! So many crystals.
I love Dr. Dinosaur so much. Oh. At any
Where
rate,
did you get guns with extreme legality? And the panel is just Dr. Dinosaur at a gun show buying guns.
yes, with extreme legality. What?
So many crystals.
If you've not read Atomic Robo, go read it. It's you can read it online. It's atomicrobo.com.
Yeah.
At any rate, I mean, there are tons of things we can do with Daedalus. We don't need to go into full details of like all his backstory stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because we're doing the brainstorming thing. We're sort of putting things together. So Daedalus is like the big sort of, Superman analog, sort of.
Right.
Because he is actually an outsider who's trying to connect with humanity.
Yes.
Because he's come to really admire it, and like he's come to admire things about humanity immensely. Because while the Atlanteans were once human,
they're not really.
They're not really anymore.
Turns out being immortal kind of disqualifies you from the humanity.
After a certain amount of time, you lose contact with a lot of sort of things.
Yeah.
And he's desperately trying to get those things, trying to regain some of that back.
Yeah.
All right, so we got that. We definitely needed sort of a normal, big sort of normal human type, someone who's actually who is quote just human.
Right. Our Batman
slash Captain America type thing.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of need both.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer you want both Batman and Captain America.
Yes.
And you don't really want them in the same character. Like, I love both characters to death. Well, I love a lot of.
We need our grim our grim brooding vigilante,
right?
Who is just a really skilled, possibly wealthy man.
Who is actually, by the way, DC is actually a good guy. DC, pay attention, you assholes.
Have they been doing something wrong with Batman again?
When have they not? When have they been doing anything right with Batman recently? When has
DC been doing anything right since the New 52?
My point exactly.
Okay, Wonder Woman's been pretty good, but
that's probably true. Actually, I've not read.
And they discontinued Demon Knights, which is their really good one that I liked. Which is basically medieval Justice League with Etrigan.
Yes, I'm aware, Duani, that currently Jim Gordon is Mecha Batman.
What?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's awesome or terrible.
yeah, the latter mostly.
Just Jim Gordon in a Batman power suit running around stomping about, because of course it's going to be stomping about, because it's a Batman power suit.
Let's see if I can find a good image of it. This is the only image I can find easily for you, Eric. I'll link it to you.
All right.
I'm not gonna put it up on the stream or in the recording because duh.
Right, because
But I will link it to the chat.
that's not the worst suit I've ever seen. The ears are kind of silly.
Dot doo dot doo dow.
Yeah, yeah. Why does he have a giant gun?
Because he's not Batman. Because he's not Bruce Wayne Batman. It's Jim Gordon. So he's got a gun.
Jim Gordon's also kind of not big in the whole killing folk thing.
What?
Now,
I
they can
don't
buy
know.
the rocket launchers. They could fire like concussion missiles or something. But
I've not read it, so I've not read any of it, so I don't know anything about it other than
besides, you're wearing a power suit. What do you need with a handgun?
they're cool. I guess I don't know.
This isn't the 90s. You don't need to give everyone big guns.
I got nothing, man.
I do kind of like that he's got the red and blues in the backpack, though.
As I said, I look at that and all I can think is Mecha Tick.
Yeah, it really is.
But I mean, like, we got all sorts of things there. We need, you know, we I don't know if we want to come up with all the details on the characters right now, but like, you know,
Right.
we need a Batman analog, we need a Captain America analog.
Okay,
We need
so
something along those lines.
Shadowheart is our Batman analog.
All right,
Because I just came up with that name just now.
okay. What's his shtick?
Um,
Ooh, I've got one.
okay,
All right, so he is our grim vigilante operating from the shadows type, right?
right.
He's actually a mage.
Ooh, yeah.
So he's a magician who specializes in shadow magic.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Yes, and he dresses kind of like the Shadow.
Yes, exactly.
Like, he's got the big broad-brimmed hat and the
Well,
long...
he's got that whole sort of pulp era vigilante look to him.
Yes.
I like this. Okay, and our Captain America analog probably should act. I like him being a soldier. I like that analog.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. We also probably need. Yeah, so we got some. We're not gonna. I don't want to go super soldier with him
Okay.
because super soldier is it's too on the nose basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like we want to do something a little bit different than Cap. Basically, I want
Right.
Cap's sort of attitude and feel, but with a different set of abilities.
Okay, so let's I don't have a name for him yet, but let's have him use a bunch of firearms, but they're all non-lethal applications.
All right.
Like tasers, concussion rounds, that kind of deal. Glue shots, that kind of deal.
Okay. Cool. Sergeant Steele,
Yeah, that's a good one.
if it's not taken.
A name like that's almost certainly taken by someone. But yeah, Sergeant Steele works nicely.
He was a character in a movie of some sort. From the Glen Rowan affair, from a movie in 1951. He's actually just a guy, as near as I can tell.
Okay. Well then, whatever. Our Sergeant Steele is clearly a moniker. Yeah, and we can just have him do like
Ooh. All right, so here's the thing. So he generally favors, like, he's a trained soldier, so he uses gun stuff, prefers non-lethal stuff.
right.
The reason he's called Sergeant Steele is because he manifested his ability to turn his skin into metal.
Okay, there we go.
Done.
Yes.
So he's got a little bit of extra strength, but he can become, like, you know, he's effectively bulletproof. He's made of steel.
That makes sense. Yeah, that works.
I'm good. What can I say? I'm good at this sort of thing sometimes.
I was gonna go with having him like have like the classic like American body armor, only like instead have it all be like brushed metal.
Yeah, I like that, but that feels again too sort of. We already have like the big sort of iconic power sort of
Power suit guy, yeah.
tech guy with Daedalus, and we have sort of and another thing about Shadowheart is he's a mage. Most of his magic is shadow magic, so it's mostly not like subtle or directly powerful. So he should be a skilled. He should actually he's trained in the Orient, so he knows martial arts because duh.
Right. Clearly, he was trained in the art.
He's a full combat mage. Full combat mage.
He has to refer to it as the Orient.
Well, of course he does. Because yeah.
Because
No. It'll be some made up mystical place like whatever the.
Shangri Fart.
I mean, it's like, I forget what the actual place that Iron Fist and Marvel trained in. God damn it, I can't
Wasn't
remember.
it Shangri-La?
It's not Shangri-La, no.
Okay.
I can look this up, hang on. It's not actually Shangri-La, unfortunately, because Magical City of Kunlun.
Kunlun. Okay.
Yes. Actually, the other interesting thing about Iron Fist is that's actually a title, not his. It's a title of the Iron Fist is actually a title from of the greatest martial artist from Kunlun.
But does he enter the Tekken?
Kinda. It's interesting. I was talking with my friend Jesse about it, but anyway, so we've got Sergeant Steel, we've got Shadowheart. We've got Daedalus.
That's our big triumvirate.
Right.
Let's make Sergeant Steel a woman, because we need a woman in there.
Done! I like it. Yes. So she can make her turn skin. That's perfect. Brilliant. Love it.
Yes.
That's great.
Because, it would be almost cliche to make Shadowheart a woman.
Yeah, no, I like having Sergeant Steel being female. And she, I mean, again, limited super strength, definitively, but not not like Superman levels. But,
yeah, like she's not throwing cars around and shit.
Oh, she probably could throw a car if she really had to. She's not throwing buses and trucks around.
Right. Well, she's throwing like car doors at people.
I'm thinking Spider-Man level strength.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. And she's like the big like, she's the one people tend to rally around.
Right.
And everyone's a little standoffish about like Daedalus, despite the fact he's pretty much Superman. Because he is so much more powerful than everyone else.
Right. Well, she's so down to earth.
Yeah. She shows up on like The View and or like had an interview with Stephen Colbert and.
All right. Excellent. All right. So we got that. So we've got sort of the basic framework of the world, basically. I mean, there are more things we need, but I don't want to get too bogged down. We've been going for a fair while.
Right.
The next thing we need to talk about is sort of for the campaign. Where are we setting it? Like, so we basically honestly from this point, as a game master, we'd pick a city that we want to set it in. Either a city we make up or a city we know. So, like, for our case, we either pick up a city we're effectively making up, or we'd pick Boston.
Right.
Because we know Boston, so we can actually use it as a good backdrop as game masters. Honestly, if you're running a superhero game, the city it's set in is actually really important.
Yes.
And because you need to be able to... It needs to become almost a character in and of itself, in my opinion. This is one of the reasons I think Astro City is such a brilliant story, because the main character of the Astro City comic books is not any of the actual superheroes or any of the people. It's the city. It's Astro City itself is the main character.
Yeah, I'll totally agree with that.
And I think that so knowing your city is actually important. So setting it
Shadow Hill is still the friggin' neighborhood I'd want to hang out in.
But yeah, like so. You either need to invent your own city so you know that well because you've created it from your mind, you've developed it and such, or you set it in your hometown because you know your hometown.
one of the things that I like about Fate and the Dresden Files RPG in particular is that when the group gets together to make their characters, they make the city at the same time.
Right.
I think
it's really clever.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I'd be inclined to do that with this campaign. Should we ever do that?
Right.
Because I've never done that, and I kind of want to.
It's either basically we can either set it in Boston or do that. Basically.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. But like, for us, but for like for someone out there if someone out there wanted to take this and run with it, make their own campaign world, please feel free to do so.
Yes.
As long as you're not like trying to publish it or anything.
Yeah. We totally demand royalties if you publish.
Or no, not royalties, acknowledgement.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Because there's so much more you need to do to make this publishable.
Yeah. Just put like a little note in there, like Eric Carlson has excellent hair. I don't have any hair.
Eric shaves his head.
It's true.
I merely cut my hair very short and let it grow out for a while, and then cut my hair very short and let it grow out for a long while. Because I'm lazy.
You'd be surprised how little work is involved with shaving your head. Once a week, you just pick the damn thing.
Oh, I'm aware of that. But I actually like having hair sometimes also. So
I don't know. When it comes to hair, I'm sort of like an all or nothing thing. It's either going to be super long or non-existent.
Well, there are stages where my hair works.
Yeah.
But they're weird. Anyways, that's not important.
That's unimportant.
But yeah, so the player characters I think would be basically I'm leaning towards being sort of the classic a group of heroes who've. I think the start of the campaign would be basically having some sort of minor sort of supervillain threat. The heroes are basically happen to all be in the area, end up working together to thwart the threat, and end up basically forming a team.
Yeah.
Because the town needs an actual group of heroes working together. Either someone sort of suggests it to them, or they decide that on their own. It depends on the group of characters and players you have. You really can't decide that until you see what what types of characters people are playing, and what's the other thing I was going to say? And the players themselves and how they sort of think about sort of things. Because if you have the wrong group of people, with the right group of characters, they might decide, oh, we should work together. We worked well here together. Well, we should work together again in future. Or they might sort of be the types who normally go wandering off on their own because, like, well, I mean, we worked well together, but I don't know these guys.
Right.
Oh, someone's actually bringing us together to work together and suggesting we work together as a team. Well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. At some point, we should revisit Star City 2.
Oh, absolutely! I intend to do so.
I really enjoyed playing.
Oh, I intend to do so. I intend to do so. At some point.
So yeah, let's call the town. Let's call it Felton. Spelled FELTWTOWN.
Okay, sure, whatever.
Because it's actually a Hellmouth.
That's
why it attracts so many supervillains and doomsday cults.
I don't like that, actually.
Okay.
Hellmouth, we're adding too much in for going with the Hellmouth on top of everything else we've got in it with the Subterrans, the Fae, and the Atlanteans.
Okay.
And already having the doomsday cults. We don't need a Hellmouth.
Okay, fine.
I mean, I think we should just put it in my personal inclination is a sort of traditional, big, sort of bustling metropolis.
Okay, fair enough.
Because there's a lot of type of stuff. Like I actually like the idea of doing something like in Boston because there's enough other weirdness beneath the surface in the big bustling metropolis on top of the whole sort of all this sort of higher education, going forward future stuff combined with this sort of weird backwards, sort of quasi old European feel that Boston has on top of that.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, like, I don't know if it's actually true, but it would be really easy to inject an Undercity into Boston.
Absolutely.
Especially after the Big Dig.
Yeah, there's that. And and you're not far away from places where Lovecraft stories were set, and from Salem, and so you can interject that stuff too if you want to.
It's a major port city, so you can have all sorts of weirdness with like smuggling rings, like and the like.
Yep, there's an airport, so you've got all that sorts of thing. I mean, as I said, I'm surprised there hasn't been much done with Boston in comic books because it's actually a really interesting area to do that sort of thing with.
Yeah, no, I agree. But because everyone gets all hung up on the Ivy League higher education aspect of Boston.
Right, and they forget about the others.
That's what a lot of people think of with Boston. I think of like the Ivory Tower, like tweed jacket and pipe professor.
But yeah, given the number of sort of Boston movies that have come out over the past 10 years,
Yeah,
I'm
fair
surprised,
enough.
like between like The Departed, The Town,
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
all the Boston gangster movies. I mean, it's like you know. But I think that's actually probably gonna. I think we've got a good framework there for a campaign world,
Yeah.
and
And if it does get set in Boston, I want deli houses still exist because I loved that place in the early 2000s. late 90s, really. Yeah, it closed down in like 2000, if I remember correctly.
Which one?
Deli House in Kenmore Square.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Right before Kenmore Square got all gentrified.
Right. Yeah.
$5 chili cheese fries stacked up like a foot high,
Nice.
served to you by a surly tattooed waitress. Invariably a surly tattooed waitress, because it's the only type that worked at Deli House.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for this week. We did get one viewer question, which we can answer. Actually, we'll answer that quickly because let me get the thing back up here. This was from Zen the First. The question is, are there any conventions you guys go to with some regularity? Also, what is your favorite convention you've been to, or the worst in your opinion? All right. I don't go to conventions. They're not my
I don't
scene.
really go to conventions anymore. I used to go to Dragon Con every year. This is before it became the real sort of cosplay mecca that it's become the past few years. But it was totally just always a great experience, and it was very much a nerd version. For me, the experience is very much a nerd version of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh dear.
I was not sober the entire time I was down there, any of the years I went. The Boston Comic Con, I didn't really enjoy the couple times I went. But I think that was largely because I don't know, it just didn't click for me. But I've heard really good things about Anime Boston, PAX East, but I have issues with PAX East, so.
Yeah, well, I've been to a couple of very small cons back in the day, but I've never really gone to any major conventions. Mostly due to the fact that it's usually a lot more travel than I want to deal with, and I'm not good with large crowds of people, honestly.
I can't blame you there, man. Although I gotta tell you, it was an experience pre 9/11, but like after Dragon Con, walking into friggin' LaGuardia, is that what's down in Atlanta?
I don't remember what airport.
I don't remember what airport it is, but walking in there, where the friggin' 5-foot-long greatsword strapped to my back, like classic like German Zweinhander that I had bought in the dealer's room drunkenly. I was like, "Hi, I would like to get this home. How do you suggest I do that?"
Yeah, at this point, you ship it home.
Yeah. Well, what they actually did was, there's a box place over there. They'll package it up for you and just put it on just put it in your luggage. Like, excellent, I will do that.
Nice.
I'll walk in there. There are two guys working at the packaging store. Like, what the fuck? I need to get this on the plane. I think we can work with this. Sure.
No, I've always enjoyed the small cons I've gone to, and I think I would probably enjoy some of the larger ones. It's just that the travel is sort of the, like, there aren't any gaming conventions near here, like big gaming conventions like in Boston.
There's
itself.
Eurasia, which doesn't really do a lot of gaming, but it's a lot of general nerdy stuff.
See, that's not what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, it's sort of a fun little thing. I don't really go to it very often at all.
Yeah.
But the few times I've gone, it was
Like,
enjoyable.
the problem for me is that a lot of conventions are about the panels. Like, a lot of conventions are about the panels and going to stuff like that. And I have no, like, the idea of waiting in line for that sort of stuff just makes you go, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, I have zero desire to go to PAX or I've never wanted to go to PAX or E3 or Comic-Con. It's like, it's all panels and waiting in line. And I'm like, that doesn't sound interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I totally got you. And, like, while there are panels at Dragon Con that I would go to, Like the stuff I remember fondly about Dragon Con is wandering around, just wandering around the place at like 4 a.m. and like falling into parties that would be happening there. And like,
Nice. Yeah, like I've been to.
I remember one time there was a party in the elevator. Someone had like dragged like a liquor cabinet and a couch onto the elevator.
Okay. Dear God, that is simultaneously brilliant and the worst idea ever.
I was there about 15 minutes before hotel security broke it up.
I'm not surprised. All right, so I actually, before I forget though, I do want to mention I've been to I've been to a few smaller gaming conventions, which I've enjoyed. Like, went to one back when I was in high school, which I went with a friend of mine. His mom drove us out there, and we went to. It was you know, mostly we did mostly role playing games. Played in an Oriental Adventures game. Second edition AD&D. This is back when I was in high school, so of course it was second edition AD&D. Oriental Adventures, which was kind of fun, even if the guy who was running it really didn't understand anything about Bushido and thought he did.
Right.
So it was kind of special. That was the problem I had with the two RPGs. I actually, all three of the games I played in, the people who were running them didn't fully get what they were doing.
Yeah, I'd like to go to TempleCon at some point.
I think I've been to TempleCon once. I've been to that. I went to another con, fairly local one, once to help out my friend, or my friend Peter Shaw, help him out with a Babylon 5 Wars demo he was doing there. But yeah, so the three games I did at that con though, I do want to share this story. So the first was the Oriental Adventures game, which was okay, but meh. The second one was a Middle-earth role-playing game where the guy really didn't...
Oh, yes, this story.
I've told you about this. I'm not going to go into full detail, but it was okay. So our group of a mixture of first to fourth level characters in MERP. Also, we didn't understand how stats worked, so like they had the open-ended rolls, percentage rolls that you roll in Rollmaster for things.
Oh.
So like it was weird. Like I ended up getting the Hobbit Scout with like 179 dexterity. I was a really good shot.
179 dexterity in MERP?
Yeah, well, which is normally on a scale of basically 1 to 100. But you could go above 100 if you max out and you got a racial stat bonus. Like a Hobbit could go above 100 dex because they got a dex bonus.
Right.
But that's not important. So I was a ridiculously good shot because Hobbits are ridiculously good shots. It's just. But so the crux of the problem was that we were basically hired, our group of first and fourth level adventurers were hired to go stop Sauron from being resurrected. And we go through this thing, and we end up fighting something like we got through a lot of this because we were actually competent characters for first and fourth level characters, and our stats were broken enough to actually help. So that might have been the reason he did that. I don't know. But, like, we were fighting, like, okay, so there are some whites here. That's fun. And that wasn't the bad thing. The final room, we found this little sort of glass vial, which was supposed to be crushing this orb to stop Sauron from being resurrected. And the final thing where the orb was being guarded by 4. I repeat, 4 Olog-hai. Olog-hai, by the way, are these super trolls.
Yeah.
And it's a group of 6 first-level characters. And by the way, there were some Uruk in the room also.
No, of course. There are Uruk-hai.
There were no Uruk-hai. No Uruk-hai, thank you. Just Uruk. Thank fucking God. There were just orcs. Not the orcs of doom. Mind you, MERP orcs are badass, so...
Yeah.
Because, well, they're player character level, effectively. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
One orc is a match for a first-level player character.
Because orcs are awesome.
And Olog-hai are bad fucking news.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were slaughtered. Not before I was able to actually crush the file on the orb and stop Sauron from being resurrected, but then we all died.
Right.
And so there wasn't even a song, which is like the worst part about all of this.
Yeah.
It's like
I do have a good gaming Not my gaming experience. I didn't actually play any games. I was never sober enough to do so at Dragon Con. But my friend Matt, there was a guy who did a prop building seminar, basically.
Okay.
And the guy did like professional props for movies.
Okay.
Back when practical effects were a thing.
Right.
And he specialized in building spaceships. And afterwards, he was like, "Okay, and tomorrow I'm gonna host a demo game for some Starship Combat game that never got off the ground for Star Trek or for Star Wars, and I will be and amongst the models being used will be the ones that I built." And then he showed us his 4-foot-long Star Destroyer.
Nice.
So Matt ended up doing that, and he ended up doing it like. For some reason, Matt decided to put on his welding vest, chemical gloves, and goggles, and just act like a mad scientist the entire game.
Nice.
And he got stuck with the boring job of keeping the transports safe. The boring job, except Matt quickly became the Rebel Alliance admiral, and occasionally sending. Objective transports out as stupendously obvious bait that they kept on taking.
Nice. All right. So, yeah.
But yeah, it was like I'd swing by in like a drunken, drug-induced haze. Like, look at Matt cackling like a mad scientist. And he's like, "What's going on, Matt?" "Well, that Indictor Star Destroyer is now on fire and crashing into the other Star Destroyer. All is going according to plan."
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week, though. Otherwise, we'll keep rambling on about gaming stories, and we'll never stop.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've got show topic suggestions, questions you'd like us to answer in the show, or anything like that, please send them to us. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com, surlygrognards@yahoo.com. We try to save time at the end of each show for viewer questions, so send them to us. We love them. We love show topic suggestions. Also, that means we can talk about things you guys want to hear about.
Also, it makes things easier for us.
That is also true. If you've got feedback for us, please send it to us. We'd love to know how to make the show better, tune it more to what you guys need. And you can email it to us, as I mentioned, that place, or you can hit us up on our forums, which you can find at mechagm.forumer.com. Or if you're listening to the episode on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment there. That's on YouTube. I'll try to keep an eye on that. Or you can hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @mechagm. And I tweet out when the show's going to go live. We record the show every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern here on hitbox.tv/mecha-gm. Not underscore hyphen. Yes, mechagm. There's a hyphen in the middle. My YouTube channel, where the recording of this is up. If you're listening to YouTube, of course you know this. If you're listening, well, you might not. But my YouTube channel is youtube.com/mechagm. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, found it useful, entertaining, what have you. We'll be back next week with some damn fool topic where we'll ramble on about something or other.
It's pretty much what we do.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care, and keep on gaming.
Bye.